In every neighborhood, there's a house that whispers stories. For me, that house was mine, and the story it told was one I desperately wanted to escape. My childhood was a battlefield, not with toys and scraped knees, but with the deafening silence that followed the sound of a slammed door, and the tiptoeing around a home that felt more like a minefield than a sanctuary. My father's anger was a storm I could never predict. One moment, sunshine, the next, a hurricane of shouting that rattled the windows and my soul. My mother, caught in the crossfire, tried to be a shield, but the shrapnel of his words always found its way to me. I became a ghost in my own home. I learned to be invisible, to make myself small, to hold my breath until the storm passed. My bedroom was my only safe harbor. There, I'd bury my head under my pillow, trying to muffle the sounds of a world falling apart. I'd pray for morning, for the escape to school, but even there, the ghosts followed. I was the quiet kid in the back of the class, the one who never raised his hand, the one whose eyes always seemed to be looking somewhere far away. Teachers would say I was daydreaming, but I was just surviving. The world outside my bedroom door felt like a foreign country where I didn't speak the language. Friendships were a puzzle I couldn't solve. How do you let someone in when you've spent your whole life building walls? How do you share your joy when it's buried under layers of fear? So I didn't. I built my fortress higher, brick by painful brick. Loneliness became my closest companion. It was a heavy cloak I wore everywhere, even on the sunniest days. As I got older, the quiet desperation turned into a simmering rage. I was angry at him for the fear he created, angry at her for not stopping it, and most of all, angry at myself for being so weak, so powerless. This anger was a poison, and it started to seep into everything. I pushed away the few people who tried to get close. I sabotaged opportunities. I was on a path of self-destruction, a mirror image of the chaos I was raised in. I was becoming the one thing I swore I never would be, him. That realization hit me like a physical blow one night. I was 20, standing in my tiny apartment, and I had just lashed out at a friend for something insignificant. I saw the same fear in their eyes that I used to see in my own reflection. In that moment, the cycle I was perpetuating became terrifyingly clear. I could either continue down this dark road, letting the pain of my past dictate my future, or I could choose a different path. I was standing at a crossroads, and for the first time, I felt a flicker of something other than anger or fear. It was a desperate, burning desire for change. I didn't know where to start. The idea of talking about it, of giving voice to the secrets I'd guarded for so long, was petrifying. But the alternative, living the rest of my life as a prisoner of my past, was even more terrifying. My first step was admitting I needed help. It was the hardest and bravest thing I had ever done. I found a therapist, a kind stranger who offered a safe space for the words to finally come out. The first few sessions were like breaking down a dam, brick by brick. The stories I had buried, the tears I had swallowed, they all came rushing out in a torrent of grief and rage. It was ugly, it was painful, and it was absolutely necessary. I learned that the little boy hiding under the pillow wasn't weak. He was a survivor. He had done the best he could with the tools he had. And for the first time, I felt compassion for him. I started to see him not as a source of shame, but as a source of strength. Therapy gave me a new language, a language to understand my trauma, to identify my triggers, and to challenge the negative beliefs that had been my life soundtrack. I learned about boundaries, something that had been completely foreign to me. I learned that no is a complete sentence, and that protecting my peace wasn't selfish, it was essential. I started making choices for myself, not out of fear or reaction, but from a place of self-worth. But healing isn't a straight line. It's a messy, winding road with setbacks and detours. There were days I wanted to give up, to crawl back into my fortress where it felt safe, even if it was lonely. On those days, I learned the importance of self-compassion. I learned to treat myself with the same kindness and understanding that I would offer a friend. I started looking for outlets for the storm that still raged inside me. I picked up a paintbrush. At first, the canvas was just a mess of dark, angry colors. But slowly, stroke by stroke, new colors began to appear: blues, greens, even yellows. It was a visual representation of my inner world, a way to express what words couldn't. Then I started running. I would run until my lungs burned and my legs felt like lead, pouring every ounce of frustration and pain onto the pavement. Each footstep was a declaration: I am moving forward, I am leaving the past behind. The physical exhaustion brought a mental clarity I had never known. Out there, on the open road, I wasn't the scared little boy anymore. I was powerful. I was in control of my body, my breath, and my direction. One of the biggest turning points was learning to forgive, not for them, but for me. I realized that holding on to the anger was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It was chaining me to the past, giving them power over my present. Forgiveness wasn't about excusing what happened. It was about releasing the hold it had on me. It was about cutting the cord and finally, truly, setting myself free. I chose to focus my energy not on the pain they caused, but on the life I wanted to build. My relationships began to change. As I healed, I started to attract people who were drawn to my authentic self, not the ghost I used to be. I learned to be vulnerable, to let people see the real me, scars and all. And I discovered that real connection isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. I found a community, a chosen family, that celebrated my strengths and supported me through my struggles. Today, my life is unrecognizable from what it once was. The storm has passed. There are still cloudy days, of course, but now I know I am not the storm, I am the sky. The pain I endured didn't break me, it forged me. It taught me empathy, resilience, and the profound depth of the human spirit. It gave me a story to tell, not one of a victim, but of a survivor who found his power. My journey is not over, it's a lifelong commitment to myself. But the fear that once defined me is now just a whisper. If you're out there, living in a storm of your own, please hear this: your pain does not define you. Your past does not have to be your future. You are not weak for hurting, you are human. There is a strength within you that you haven't even begun to tap into. The first step, the bravest step, is asking for help. It's a sign of incredible strength. Your story is not over. This is not the end. It's the beginning of you turning your pain into your power. Thank you for listening.